G'day, Scott again. During this video, we'll be sprucing up the trims of this old weatherboard cottage. There's a little TLC required, but the results will be pleasing. So firstly, what are we going to need to complete this job? So we're going to need some cleaning equipment, some Hames Uniclean, a bucket, rubber gloves and goggles. We'll need some scrapers and filling blades, along with some exterior grade filler, gap sealant and a gap gun, some masking tape, sandpaper, a wall brush and a sash cutter with a paint pot, our Ultra Trim and our Hames Solar Shield. When painting outside, it's always best to start at the top and work your way down. You'll need to take the appropriate safety precautions with ladders or scaffold when working in those high areas though. Ensure they're firmly bedded before you start climbing. But before we start, let's wash it down. The use of rubber gloves is highly recommended when using Hames Uniclean Sugar Soap. Mix the Uniclean with 4 parts of warm water for use on lightly soiled surfaces. If the surface has a large amount of surface grime, we suggest mixing the Uniclean up to 3 parts of warm water. Apply the solution using cloth or sponge to wash down the surface, allowing it to soak on the surface for up to 5 minutes prior to rinsing off thoroughly with clean water. For stubborn areas, a scrubbing brush may be required. Make sure you allow the walls to thoroughly dry before proceeding. Now the cleaning is complete, we're ready to start the serious stuff. All loose and flaking paint needs to be removed. This can be done by either scraping back or sanding. Areas that are scraped back will need the sharp edges removed so they don't show through your new finish. This is done by sanding back or feathering the edges, as it's commonly known. Alternatively, you can fill these areas with the appropriate exterior filler, sand and then spot prime. Then proceed to fill any gaps on the windowsills where the timbers butt. These are generally susceptible to movement, so a flexible gap filler works best here. Also, any bare metal surfaces that are exposed will need to be primed with a suitable metal primer before being coated with water-based paints. You're now ready to apply the first coat. We start with the gables and then work down to the gutter and fascia, before moving on to other areas such as fretwork and downpipes. Once these are completed, you're ready to start on the windows. There's a little more work involved in the windows, so let's look at that in a little more detail. You should always check the window channels before starting to paint. Windows, or sashes as they are known, that are a little difficult to open and close may not take another coat of paint and still function, so you may need to remove the existing coating before starting. So now we've checked the channels and we're happy to continue. It's also a good idea to paint your windows early in the day to give the paint enough time to dry so that you can close the windows fully at night. Today, we're using Hames Ultra Trim High Gloss. It's a new generation trim paint for both interior and exterior use. It's tough, water-based enamel, there's quick drying, enabling recoating in 2 hours, while offering superb coverage with the convenience of water wash-up. Now, if you don't feel confident enough to cut in around the glass in the window, the best option is to use masking tape. It's important to allow the paint onto the glass by 1 or 2 ml. This will prevent moisture from being able to penetrate between the frame and the glass. It could cause the paint to lift in these areas. Raise the bottom or sash, as it is known, as high as it will go. Then lower the top window to expose the bottom rail of the upper window that's hidden from sight when the window is closed. Chances are you'll find this rail is a different colour to the rest of the sash. Many DIYers neglect to paint it. Paint as much of the bottom of the upper window as you can reach, at least a few inches, including the non-exposed bottom rail. If you're painting the sash channels, as we are here, then you'll need to paint the inside of the channels now and leave the sashes in a position until the paint is dried. Move the sashes before the paint dries, they'll stick together. Take care not to get paint on the inside of the channels if these have not been painted previously, or you may end up with windows that are difficult or impossible to open. After the rails have dried, return the windows to their normal position, leaving them open a little at top and bottom. Finish painting the upper window, working from the mutton bar, then the top rail, finish with the stiles. Then paint the lower window in the same way. While the sashes are in this position, we need to paint the rest of the channels as previously explained. With both sashes painted, move on to the jambs. I try to paint them in a clockwise order every time because it helps me avoid skipping areas. Next, paint the frame around the window. Begin with the outer edges and then move on to the faces. This will minimise drips. Finish up by painting the windowsills.